In order to understand exponents, you first need to know what factors are. When two or more numbers are multiplied together, each number is a factor. Okay, so if you look at this problem, 2 times 3. 2 and 3 are factors because they're the two numbers that are being multiplied together. Okay. When the same factor is repeated, you can use an exponent to simplify the notation. Now, it's important to know that exponents can only be used with multiplication when multiplication is repeated over and over again, the same factor over and over. Exponents are written with two parts. The first part is the base. If you look at this, the base is the factor that's being multiplied over and over again. So down here on the bottom, you'll see that we have this 5 that's being multiplied over and over and over again. The 5 is our base because that's the number that we're multiplying over and over again. Now the exponent, or the power, tells you how many times you're going to multiply that base. So we see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 5s. We're multiplying 5 4 times. So we write the exponent, or the power, both of those words are interchangeable. We write the exponent as a little number that's off to the top right. So our base is a big normal number, and our exponent is a little number off to the top. Now 5, the base, tells me that's the number we're multiplying. 4 tells me how many times. Okay, so let's do a couple other problems here. In this problem, exponential notation means we have a number written with exponential form. Our base is this big number 3, and our exponent is the 6. Now remember the difference. The base tells you the number you multiply over and over again. So this is going to be 3 times 3 times 3. The exponent tells us how many times we multiply it. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply 3 6 times. So it's going to be 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So I'm going to take the number 3 and multiply it 6 times. Now you can use exponents with fractions and decimals as well as whole numbers. So in this case, this 1/2 right here, that's in our parentheses, this 1/2 is my base. And my exponent is the 4, which means my base, 1/2, is what I'm going to multiply over and over again. And I'm going to multiply it 4 times. So I'm going to have 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. So my base 4 times. Okay, now this last one looks a little tricky. My base is 9, so that means I'm going to multiply 9 over and over again, but my exponent is 1. That means I'm only going to multiply 9 one time, which means that's going to look just like this, okay, which is a little different. Okay, sometimes you might be given a number in expanded form and have to write it in exponential form. So remember, your base is the number you multiply over and over again. So in this case, we're multiplying 2 over and over and over. So my base is going to be 2. Now my exponent tells me how many times I multiply that base. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So it's going to be 2 with an exponent of 5. Or 2, we could also say, to the 5th power. Now, 2 little situations I want to talk to you about. This first one here. Remember I said that exponents only work when you're repeatedly multiplying. If you look at this problem, we have 2 multiplication problems that are repeated. In this case, we've got 3 times 3 times 3. And then over here, we have 5 times 5. And these 2 problems are joined in the middle by an addition sign. I can write this using exponents, but I have to keep these 2 multiplication problems separate. So right here, if I'm going to write this in exponential form, my base would be 3, and my exponent would be 3 because I'm multiplying 3 3 times. Over here, my base would be 5. My exponent would be 2 because I'm multiplying it 2 times. And the most important thing to know is that this addition sign in the middle has to stay put. I can't combine these two things together because remember, exponents only apply to multiplication, not to addition. So the addition sign stays addition. All right, and the last thing I want you to think about. A lot of people think that 7 with an exponent of 2 is the same as 7 times 2. But let's look at this. 7 with an exponent of 2 means that I've got 7 times 7. My base is 7, and I'm multiplying it 2 times. 7 times 7, which is 49. I want you to look and see that that's very different than this. 7 times 2, the way it's written, means 7 times 2. And 7 times 2 is 14. Now the last thing I want to talk to you about is this parentheses right here. When you have two numbers next to each other, only separated by parentheses, that means multiply. Okay, so this is 7 times 2. The other thing I want to talk to you about is this dot. This dot also means multiply. Okay, so there are lots of ways to write multiplication. You don't always have to use the x as the multiplication sign. Okay, so in answer to the question, 7 to the second power is 49. 7 times 2 is 14. So these two things are not equal, even though they look very much the same.